Hey scholars, let's now go back and take a look at the same kind of problems that we've seen where you have to issue an except for, or in this case, a disclaimer, because now we're going to deal with auditing problems. Prior, we were looking at GAAP problems. Now it's auditing problems. So let's start with the non-issuer. We're going to have the except for, and we're going to have the disclaimer for them. And let's see how these turn out. Starting here, we have the intro. We have the management responsibility, the auditor responsibility, and this is a audit problem, and it's material, but it's not pervasive. It's not significant enough to issue a disclaimer. So we're going to have that extra paragraph in there. So let's turn and take a look at how it's written. For the non-issuer, the privately held company, we're going to start with the independent auditor's report, and we have the same introductory paragraph. Management's responsibility doesn't change, so we add that in as the same standard paragraph. The auditor's responsibility, that's not going to change, so we're going to start out with the same, and we get down to explaining what those standards require us to do. That hasn't changed. And then, of course, we have to also mention that we're going to ultimately, take this information and hopefully be able to conclude something overall on the financials. That doesn't change. However, the very last line does, just like it did before. Notice, we're going to modify it. We believe the audit evidence we have obtained is sufficient and appropriate for us to issue our, notice the word, qualified audit opinion. So there's the modification, that one word. The basis for the qualified opinion is then added in. And you'll notice when you add that basis, that's a brand new paragraph. And it explains what the problem was, what we couldn't figure out. Notice in the middle it says we were unable to obtain sufficient appropriate evidence about the carrying amount of an investment in XYZ. All that just simply says, consequently, we were unable to determine whether any adjustment to these amounts is necessary. It's our problem. We didn't get enough evidence. And then we turn on to the opinion paragraph. Notice here it's modified because we say, in our opinion, except for the possible effects of the matter described in the basis for qualified opinion paragraph, the financial statements above present fairly in all material respects the financial position of ABC at December 31st and the results of its operation and cash flows for the year then ended. We sign and we date it. The second one that a non-issuer has is the disclaimer of opinion. So in this case, we're going to have to put a basis for the disclaimer of opinion. And we're going to have a bunch of changes in this one that you want to be aware of. First of all, after we put down the independent auditor's report, we state we were engaged to audit, right? We didn't audit, we were engaged to audit, but we never really did complete this. So it's been modified. The management responsibility paragraph is not changed. No matter what, they are always responsible for the financials and the internal control. We then go to the auditor responsibility. Our responsibility is to express an opinion based on the conducting of an audit in accordance with generally accepted auditing standards in the United States. Because of the matter described in the basis for disclaimer of opinion paragraph, however, we were not able to obtain sufficient appropriate evidence to provide a basis for our opinion. So that's clearly modified. We then obviously add a new paragraph talking about we are not engaged as auditors of this company, and therefore we did not audit as of a certain date, and therefore we didn't observe the inventory. Therefore, that was significant. We couldn't come up with alternative procedures. Here's our problem. All right? It doesn't matter what the problem is, but there's a problem, we describe it. And then in our opinion, we're going to modify this. Notice the phrasing, because of the significance of the matter described in the basis for disclaimer of opinion paragraph, we have not been able to obtain sufficient appropriate evidence to provide a basis for our opinion, and accordingly, we do not express an opinion on these financials. We sign it, we give our address, and we date it.